It's our first episode in the month of May, and with that in mind, I'd like to say happy new month to you watching this right now. I welcome you to MarketSquare. My name is Oluwapelumi Awe, and I'm always glad to have you join me on the show. Let's start with the news of the approval of the Consumer Credit Scheme by President Bola Tinubu. The President of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, in his efforts to improve the standard of living of Nigerians, keeps good to his promises by approving the takeoff of the first phase of the Consumer Credit Scheme. This scheme is designed to enable citizens to enhance their quality of life by accessing goods and services upfront and paying the money responsibly over a period of time. Now, all over the world, whether in the first world nations or the third world nations, access to credit enables citizens to unlock themselves. In other words, that it helps them to access opportunities they wouldn't have been able to access without the loan. So I think this is a good move to help people live better lives. But before this scheme was approved, I had a conversation with Professor Chris Onalo, who is the CEO of the National Institute of Credit Administration, about the need for a strategic credit system in Nigeria. Now, he made some valid points there. Take a listen to a part of the interview. I want to ask what inspired this concern, and why do you think we need a credit system that works at this time?
That is a system, credit system is a system that is designed or is intended to replace a system that this country has been operating on for its economic operation since independence, which is cash and carry. And that hasn't helped too much. And to catch up with the developmental needs, the aspiration of the people, and to be able to introduce governance that is beneficial to the entire population of the people of the country. It is high time, and time is now for the country to go chasing for the best option that can encourage people's economic life. And that system is credit system.
Some valid points there as touching the need for a credible credit system in Nigeria. And look how much of impact that speech made as touching how that the federal government had to make sure that this scheme is approved as soon as possible. Now, the consumer credit scheme is structured in a way that it affords citizens to make crucial purchases such as homes, vehicles, education, healthcare, and essential services to ensure that they are able to live better lives than they used to live. And it says that this is such a good thing to have, where people can access funds, and by doing that, they can get homes, they can get access to getting vehicle on higher purchase level. Education becomes something that everybody wants to be a part of. Healthcare services improved, and it just makes life easier for all of us. All right, it makes life easier for all of us. Now, more to that, the consumer credit system or scheme by the federal government of Nigeria is set up to improve consumer credit access to 50% of working Nigerians by 2030. That is important that I reiterate that this credit scheme is only designed for those who are working, okay? And for me, I think that's brilliant. I think that is so brilliant because it ensures that people can pay back when they get their salary every single month. So I imagine that somebody goes to borrow money from a company, for instance. Let's say rent money, for instance. Okay, somebody borrows money from a rent money, for instance, and the person is required to put in his or her details, the BVN there, account details there. And every time the person gets paid at the end of the month, the company deducts the amount that they lent the person, the percentage agreed that the person will pay back every single month. So since this scheme is designed for people who are working, it speaks a lot about how intentional the team must have thought about this scheme in the entirety. The company to facilitate this credit scheme is Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, Telecom, which is owned by the federal government of Nigeria. In order to accomplish the goal of increasing consumer credit access by 50%, Telecom will put in place structural barriers to accessing consumer credit in Nigeria and catalyze the market with capital guarantees and policy. And so it's in the fact that when people who want to get access to this loan, again, get credit in advance of their salary, most likely, the team in charge of putting this together, which is Credit Corp, will ensure most likely that they put a lot of barriers so that only those who intentionally, who need this money can apply for the scheme, can apply for the loan and get the loan. Have you ever seen that? Have you noticed that every time you're about to apply for scholarship, for instance, you will need to fill out many forms? Sometimes some people, because of the fact that they have to fill the forms, they won't even apply again. And then you are able to separate the boys from the men. People who want to apply for the scholarship, who want to apply for the boot camp, go ahead to apply. Write the essay, for instance. They could say not less than 150 words. And these guys some people would just back out from that point because they don't have the passion enough, they're not convinced enough to apply. But those who want to apply, who think they need it for something that can improve their lives, will go through the ordeal to apply. So the Credit Corp team would most likely set in place structures that ensures that only those who need this loan, who need this credit, are able to gain access to it over time. Now, as it is expected in this technological age, a portal for Nigerians to express interest in receiving this consumer credit has been created, and this in many ways will create room for expansion of consumer credit access to Nigerians. To make this even more effective, a collaboration with financial institutions and cooperatives nationwide has been initiated as there is aim to broaden consumer credit availability in Nigeria. So if you're watching this right now and you intend to apply, you need to bear in mind that this is in phases. For the first phase of the exercise, there is a deadline, and that is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Now, today is the second day in May 2024. It means you have about 13 days to the deadline. In the first phase of the application to get credit as soon as possible from the federal government. All who are eligible and are seeking to benefit from this scheme should have registered on or before that time. Again, I'd like to announce that it is the 15th of May, 2024. So if you intend to apply, you need to get your act together, make the application happen before the deadline. Now, if you are working at present, and like I said, this is designed for only those who are working, okay? This is designed for only those who are working at the moment. If you're working at the moment and you are interested in receiving the consumer credit, kindly visit www.creditcom.ng to express your interest. Now, I guess the website link will be on the screen right now. Again, I'd like to say it is www.creditcom.ng if you want to express your interest. But as good as this scheme is, it is only responsible and prompt repayment that will keep this scheme alive and worth it, okay? And it's the reason that this is only designed for those who are working. And like I cited already, that it could be that anybody who applied will have to put in his or her account details there, BVN there, to ensure that every money that comes into your account, a percentage is deducted up until the time that you finish paying the money you borrowed. Okay, so this sounds like a very, very solid idea. We expect that this scheme should bring about unlocking more opportunities for a better life for Nigerians. Additionally, this should lead to increased demand for goods and services and undoubtedly stimulate local industry and job creation. The multiplier effect of people having access to more money is that there will be room for absorbing people into industries, into systems, and that in many ways will reduce the unemployment rate and increase productivity. So this is a good idea that the federal government has approved, and I hope that some people watching this right now can plug into this. Up next, let's discuss about issues around internet access. Telecommunication operators in the country, including MTN Nigeria and Globacom, have asked the Nigeria Communications Commission to approve the proposal to raise their tariff. The development came after foreign exchange losses, rising energy costs, also forced some operators to post losses last year in 2023. I wish you have the privilege of seeing MTN's the report as to how much MTN lost last year. Now, this tariff all raised demand by the telecommunications operators came barely 24 hours after MultiChoice, the owners and operators of DSTV and GoTV, which is a South African paid television company, raised its tariff as well. Okay, we have also seen several companies, including Discos, our own Discos, and brewing companies raise their prices in recent times. Popular brands like Castle, Lead, Hero, Trophy, Bitter Malt, Grand Malt have all seen their prices increased in the last 3 weeks. The heightened level of inflation in the country, the proposed electricity hike by the federal government, and the present petrol scarcity have all inspired many companies to review their prices higher than it used to be. The Association of Licensed Telecom Companies of Nigeria and the Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria issued a joint statement asking the federal government to speed up the approval of the proposal. Now, in their statement, it was explained that despite the adverse economic challenges, the telecommunications industry remains the only industry yet to review its general service pricing framework upward in the last 11 years, primarily due to regulatory constraints. Now, some people will argue with this because sometimes back in the day, every time you do, maybe you top up your data level, you top up what you have in your data bank. Sometimes maybe you do 20 gigs. That can last you for close to 2 months, but now within 2 weeks you're done. So some people are saying that. Are we really sure these people don't have a system that ensures that the data bundle, the data we have in our data bank gets exhausted as soon as possible? You just find out that after loading, after subscribing, after topping up, you find out that within 2 weeks you're done, and you're wondering if you are even doing anything more than you used to do before. So this call for increase in the price of everything, in the tariff, all of their plans, is something that is worrisome for many Nigerians. And I won't deny that, including myself. I'm also worried that they are talking about this at this point in time. According to the group, for a fully liberalized and deregulated sector, the current price control mechanism, which is not aligned with the economic reality, threatens the industry's sustainability and can erode investors' confidence. Now, I have to be sincere with this, that given, like I mentioned already, the inflation we have at the moment, we saw the figures for the month of March 2024, how that food inflation hit 40% there, and I think the inflation figure was around 33 point something at the time. Now, given the proposed electricity tariff hike that the federal government is trying to do, although it's been said that the courts has restricted the people in charge of that not to make it happen anymore, not to increase the amount paid by electricity users anymore. But let's talk about that. The inflation rate increasing, the proposed electricity hike, and then the present fuel scarcity may have contributed to this call at this time. But if you look at last year, we saw them even make this call last year as well. So it's something to think about. How is it that they've been making this call for the last 3 years now, asking that they want to increase the tariff? And so it now boils down to what's happening at the moment in the country. But a good recommendation is that a constructive dialogue with the industry stakeholders to address pricing challenges and establish a framework that balances consumers' affordability with operators' financial viability is expected with the government. So the recommendation is that the federal government sits with this team, sits with the major stakeholders and have conversation as to how to ensure that Nigerians don't feel the burden. Because if this is approved, it will affect Nigerians in many ways than one. It will affect everyone in many ways than one. So the government has to put in place structure that ensures that these people don't, just keep talking about this. Because a way for the government to make this happen and to be on the side of the people is to give tax holiday, all right? It's to give tax holiday to say, you're not going to pay tax for this duration of time, or we're going to reduce the tax that you pay. And that's an incentive that ensures that the people calling, the telecommunications operators calling for the increase in the tariff plans or all of that, don't keep calling for it. So tax holiday will help. What else will help? Reducing the cost, reducing the tax paid would also help in many ways than one. In Nigeria, the body that regulates price in the telecom industry is the Nigerian Communications Commission, and the telecom operators are not allowed to implement any price changes without the regulator's approval. Well, the regulator has said that a cost-based study is being conducted to determine if it would approve price increments for the operators. The telecom industry in recent time has faced significant increases in operational costs as a result of the scarcity of foreign exchange, network expansion and upgrade, which have also negatively affected the bottom line of the operators. In fact, research has shown that investment in the sector has also declined to $134 million in 2023 from $456.8 million in 2022, which is a decline of over $300 million, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Now, the decline represented a decrease of approximately 70.5%, and that's huge. That's huge. To be more exact, MTN Nigeria PLC disclosed a substantial loss of 740.4 billion naira for the fiscal year 2023, which is a notable surge from the 81.8 billion naira loss reported in 2022, marking an alarming over 80% increase, equivalent to $658.6 billion. This is as a result of the application of an official exchange rate of 907.11 naira per dollar based on the NatFem market as of December 31st, 2023. The figures I read before now were determined using the exchange rate as at December 2023. Now you see the disparity in how much they have lost, how much MTN has lost within 12 months. The financial setback experience is primarily attributed to the effect of the foreign exchange market liberalization that commenced in June 2023, as announced some months back by the CBN. The reported loss might escalate further if the prevailing exchange rate between the naira and dollar remains unchanged by the end of May 2024. Meanwhile, Airtel Africa reported a 99.6% decline in its post-tax profit. That's after-tax profit to $2 million at the end of the 9 months, which ended in December 2023, from $523 million at the end of the same period in 2022. Also, there are major issues affecting the telecom sector. There you have the unsustainable telecom tariff framework, lack of regulatory independence, infrastructure deficit, harsh business environment, multiple taxation and regulations, and prohibitive right-of-way charges, inadequate electricity power supply, and vandalism of telecommunications infrastructure, among many other things. The federal government of Nigeria can unlock the full potential of the Nigeria's telecom sector and drive economic growth and societal development by fostering a conducive regulatory environment, by prioritizing infrastructural development, and by enhancing security measures, especially the issue of the vandalism of whatever it is that is used in ensuring that internet access is reached to everyone. Okay, so the federal government can do good by putting in place security measures that ensures that these people's property are safe, and also facilitating pricing adjustment. Of interest is the recently announced $10 billion Diaspora Fund by the federal government of Nigeria. But before that, let's do the numbers. Wednesday, the 1st of May 2024, the exchange rate for dollar to naira at the Lagos parallel market, which is called the black market. We learned that players mentioned that they bought a dollar for 1,355 naira and sold at 1,360 naira per dollar, and with a slim gain of 5 naira. Today, there is the hope that naira should be bought at 1,164 naira by the players and sold at 1,165 naira, with a possible gain, a very slim gain of 1 naira. The federal government of Nigeria has announced plans to set up a $10 billion diaspora fund to attract investment from citizens living abroad. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anite, who announced this, said the federal government is seeking bids from asset managers to set up the fund. The initiative is expected to support critical sectors including infrastructure, healthcare, and education to grow the Nigerian economy. The fund is, I believe, a part of a broader effort to strengthen the ties between Nigeria and its diaspora citizens and promote national development. Now, to guide the funds, the federal government will set up an advisory board comprising limited partners. The fund will be managed by fund managers that satisfy the criteria of the expression of interest. A major part of the responsibility of the fund managers will be to propose fund structures that will force and focus on various sectors and stages of investment. The fund will contain multiple investment platforms designed to offer investors different mechanisms for participating in Nigeria's economic transformation. The fund is a way of encouraging remittances, attracting investment into the country, facilitating philanthropic endeavors aimed at supporting various sectors in the economy. I mean the infrastructural sector, I mean the healthcare sector, I mean the educational sector, I mean entrepreneurship in Nigeria. That fund will help to improve and facilitate the endeavors in all of these sectors. It speeds up the process of ensuring that we have a better economy overall. Now, to apply, you need to meet certain requirements. Like you have to submit the profile of your firm, your staff competency, your investment history, the investment history of the company, and that is the data on successfully exited investment over the past 3 years, including the strategy used, the size, and the returns. You also will need to declare your current portfolio, your fund interest justification, which is an explicit interest in managing the Nigerian Diaspora Fund with reasons. You also need to tell about your networking capability, which is your firm's existing relationships with both local and international investors. You also have to declare your geographical knowledge, and then also opportunity profiling and your operational readiness. How ready are you to get on? How ready are you to get things started when the fund is released to you? The link to apply is on the screen right now as I speak. Just in case you want to apply, you can use the link on the screen to apply for this. Now, but prior to this, the federal government of Nigeria had announced the launch of the 200 billion naira presidential intervention fund for micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises and manufacturers in Nigeria. This was disclosed by the same person, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Madam Doris Uzoka Anike. Before now, there was the disbursement of funds targeted at supporting 1 million nano businesses across the country. In that bracket, you have laundry services, you have salons, you have phone repairs. Thousands of beneficiaries have been announced and confirmed to have received the amount disbursed. The federal government has now decided to include both the micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises and manufacturers in the initiative. These new grants will be recovered in monthly equal installments with no memorandum spanning a 3-year term. 75 billion of the 200 billion naira will be distributed to micro and small, medium-scale businesses, while 75 billion will be distributed to the manufacturing industry under the Presidential Intervention Fund. All of these are attempts by the federal government of Nigeria to boost economic growth and industrial development. We've mentioned on the show today about the consumer credit scheme approved recently. We mentioned on the show as well the fact that the telecom operators are requesting for the federal government to approve their proposal for the increment in tariff. We also mentioned on the show today that the federal government has also kicked off a system that ensures that we have more money from diaspora coming in. To be exact, about $10 billion diaspora funds are expected to come in soon. The federal government has also launched about 200 billion naira scheme to ensure that small, micro, and medium scale enterprise and manufacturing companies have access to money that will in no time boost economic growth and industrial development. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We've come to the end of the show today. Thank you for joining me. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. I'm talking about Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. My name is Oluwapelumi Awe. See you in the next one.